What's happening? Welcome back. Logan Skis here. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about The Vivid Vision, which is a book by Cameron Herold, a fantastic framework. And we're going to talk about how to actually build that for yourself. Now, in the Venture Rep Elite community, this is something I've just did a live training on last week. This is going to be more of my documentation effort as a build in public founder. So I'm going to actually show how I make my own and how you can do it as well. So here's the book. It's fantastic. Great listen. And just a fun fact, there's another book, Second in Command by Cameron Herold, the same author. And it's a eye-opening book. Really appreciated that. Built wonderfully on the traction and rocket fuel books within the entrepreneurial operating system world, the EOS world. More than just recording something for posterity's sake, today I'm actually going into this with the intent of just like articulating in the clearest way that I can, just like I would if you were a colleague or an internal team member, my personal view on the deliverable and my personal fill out deliverable. So there's a lesson on this, how to do it. We actually have automations that will help you do this with prompts, questions, and all sorts of stuff like that, that make it quick and easy and high impact for you. But in this video, this is the one that I will just talk about my own version of it. And besides just kind of coming to the table with a completed deliverable, and in this case, I think we're going to go for 2 deliverables, maybe 3. We'll see how fast I can get through it. I just want to show how I actually do these things. And I'll say this, the past couple of videos or deliverables I've walked through, specifically origin story, our mission statement using Donald Miller's operations-focused framework, the purpose statement, and the core values, they were no small undertaking. And I've remarked on it a few times before, how I didn't fully appreciate how deep you had to dig to do that right, to do it in a way where you were proud of it. And in fact, just last week, it might be a little cheesy to some, but as a lifelong artist, I found it to be really meaningful to put my signature on each of the deliverables once they were ready, once I was proud enough of them to be able to present them, even to myself, even to come back to this with a level of integrity and be like, yeah, I'm proud of this deliverable. This makes sense. And this is integrated with the big picture. This is in keeping with best practice and within the framework, within the overall logic of what we're doing. It's something I'm proud enough to put my signature on. And my view is, I think that's the ambition for all of what we're doing. We want to be proud of our work and do it to the best of our ability. I do recognize there's a pretty decent amount of ambiguity for founders, especially a lot of the people I work with in the venture rep communities. They are shooting in the dark in a lot of ways. They're spread across 12 different platforms. Each of those platforms only show a single viewport at a time. And there's never a way to break free of the constrained lens and see the entire picture, the zoomed out view. So I'm very blessed to have had the series of experiences I've had over the last decade and a half as a professional, but more specifically full-time on VentureMap the last 5 years, going on 6 towards Q3, Q4 of this year will be 6 years. And it's been very illuminating. We've come a long way. We've got a long way to go still. And I'm just going to kind of push into actually working live, because I've honed in on final versions of this, on all 3 of these, and I'm going to take them, I'm going to update this Miro framework and remind you, we are working through the culture deck, or the culture deliverable stack. So this culture deliverable stack includes core values. It includes, like I said previously, purpose statement, the reason why you exist beyond making a profit, mission statement. Specifically, we use the operations focused framework from Donald Miller's Mission Made Simple, which I highly recommend the origin story, which we use the framework from the Get Backed book, which is awesome. Totally recommend that book as well. 5-part framework and vivid vision and team attributes and activities, which is from Donald Miller's Guiding Principles. Again, mission made simple framework, awesome stuff. We're going to get into it. And I'm also going to produce just a couple of like supporting pieces of collateral for this that you can imagine. They're not just referenced on an annual basis or even quarterly basis for strategy purposes, for like getting centered and grounded as a founder, but you consider from a recruitment standpoint and an onboarding standpoint, when we're ramping up a new hire and we're talking about a company introduction, those are things that we would place right in there. So in terms of cross mapping, what you're doing over here, like this whole section would pretty directly correlate with the lateral you'd want to produce right over here. And like, so that would be your onboarding modules specifically for company introduction. I think I'm clear to reference the source material for that we got inspiration from here. I've got huge respect for the source material. I was really inspired by the approach Sales Recruitment University took for how they do onboarding. And so SRU was super informative and how to streamline that process. So it's had to be interpreted a lot to make sense, but I'm really grateful for the training that I went through with a custom client project, and it fits quite nicely in the Joey Coleman sort of post-hire phases firm through advocates. That's way down the road where we'll get into that, but it's very relevant and translates not just in employee onboarding, but and all of the collateral we'll produce. It has a massive impact on tone of voice and a bunch of other stuff on the customer acquisition side. Okay, so let's see if I can actually be productive while the camera is running. I'm pretty sure I can. Let's get into it. All right, so I've had pretty decent flow with GPT. I've got a bunch of other conversations that I've honestly had going for weeks trying to just get this right. And each time I'll make some progress. I'll sit on it for a few days and I'm like, man, it's not right. Yeah, scrap it, start over, or take a few pieces of it. And that's the iteration process. You know, AI is fantastic, but you do have to be able as a founder, I know, to pour your heart and soul out and actually articulate with a high degree of specificity. And AI cannot read your mind yet. So let's see. Let's get this guy down. Alrighty. So personally, I'll have my GPT page open and Miro open. And that's how I'll like to kind of flow information out once it's pretty dialed in. And we're going to go ahead and just cut into the vivid vision first. Need to go, I believe this is already updated. Perhaps I gotta go back even further. Alrighty. So this is what I landed on after pretty decent amount of revision. And yeah, basically we'll just land on what I like, talk with GPT a lot. I've got a pretty decent range of questions. So I'll kind of feed it a master prompt and have a conversation with it and be like, here's my previous drafts. And it'll ask me questions. We'll just kind of go through that approach until I land on something that's like, this is this is accurate. And it's pretty much that way for everything. No matter what the collateral is, whether it's your culture deck, something to do with brand style, business model, marketing collateral, whatever, it's the same process. It's something I've talked a lot about with regard to the CEO cycle. It's like, you know, with CEOs, with founders, operators, it goes on it's like basically you have, I call it the IDA cycle: insight, decision, and action. So anything that you get, you're basically you need to derive some meaningful insight from anything, whether it's in person or digital, whether it's environmental, whether it's work product like deliverables or otherwise. You have to be able to provide some, like, grasp some meaningful insight. Based on the insight, you need to field it through your expertise and experience, your vision for the future, and that will guide your decision-making process. And that decision-making enables follow-on execution. So, okay, basically, I landed on a complete origin story, and we're going to go through like what I would do next. So I just kind of front loaded it into the template here. Cool. It's crisp. It's easy to read. And then I don't recommend doing this for clients just because most people are not like intimately familiar with Miro. And on top of that, they don't have like a 98 out of 100 on aesthetics for like their big five personality test. So I know that about myself. Personally, I like to come into my business environment and have things be just, you know, exactly the way I want them. And a big part of that is me feeling a level of confidence with the layout and comfortability with the compositional layout of it, I should say. But basically, wherever you put it, have a doc, a Miro doc. These are the easiest to use. It just has that collateral, the same thing. So next time you update it, you just throw that in the GPT and you're good to go. And then there's a bunch of ways to do it. We're going to do a few different approaches here. Cut it up into a doc, or excuse me, a presentation in Gamma. And if you're not using Gamma, just do yourself a favor and get into it. It's an awesome platform that delivers an insane amount of value. Let's see. Oh, here. Cool. And then I basically just threw this stuff into Gamma, threw a style prompt in there that I have for myself. And then I click a custom theme that I have saved. Now, the thing about Gamma is if you have another tab open or you like click away from it, it'll stop. And sometimes that means it will actually like lose progress, which can kind of suck. Like it'll glitch on the images and even the copywriting. So you're going to want to ensure you have it open, but you're usually just fine to do what I'm doing here, which is either work on multiple screens or, kind of flush out like two tabs open at the same time. Now you can see we're basically set on Gamma, and now I'm just setting this up to get a nice voice, to get a voice that we'll want to actually hear. Yep. Interestingly enough, I've really liked this new one. That's this stuff can be bug me sometimes. It's kind of frustrating, like a voice selection. Like for example, sometimes you want this guy, you can't get it, but then you got Convo AI guy and it works. He has a little bit of a
Venture Map, the origin story, where we came from. After nearly a decade in the fitness industry,
So the challenge with this is I'm still working to tune up my own voice clone in this platform. And I guess for the sake of just the expediency here, I'm being kind of lazy. What I'll do is, so being just a little bit lazy here, I'm just going to use my decent voice clone here so I don't have to rework the entire thing, and not saying I, right? Because it's speaking in my voice as a founder, but it'll just get the general idea across. There's a few other ways to make this more polished, but it just has to kind of make sense with where you're at and what's important. I think this looks pretty decent, and I'm going to show you how I basically knock this out. So I basically will go full screen, and I swear, just as a side note, people who are able to do a gamma with an AI voiceover and a loom, like that triangulation of tools is massive, massive game changer. It's a big game changer. Okay, so let's get into it.
Venture Map, the origin story. Where we came from after nearly a decade in the fitness industry, I had become the default second in command for every gym I worked in, handling operations, growth, and strategy while someone else held the title. I wasn't just training clients, I was helping build businesses. Eventually, that path led me to Florida Atlantic University's Tech Runway, a year-long startup incubator. We were accepted into their NSF I-Core program, diving deep into customer development, lean methodology, and evidence-based entrepreneurship. Our concept? A computer vision-based virtual training platform. It would use pose estimation, rep tracking, and a gamified UX to bring coaching into the digital age. We had friends and family backing, advisors lining up, and were actively courting a seed round. Then COVID hit. What was wrong? The shutdowns erased everything. Our tech partners ghosted. Investors walked. Our mentors told us, point blank, if you can survive this, do it. But the round's off, left with nothing but pitch decks, product roadmaps, spec sheets, and a single intern. I realized we were on the edge of financial collapse. Gyms were closed. No one was signing up for digital products that hadn't launched yet. If I was going to make rent, I needed to pivot fast. The problem was bigger than business models. It was cognitive. We were seeing our business through disconnected documents, slides, docs, landing pages. It was like trying to read a map through a straw. So I fell back on something I learned in the Marine Corps Infantry: build a terrain model. What we did, we used Miro, a virtual whiteboard, and started mapping everything: offers, systems, funnels, brand, risks. It became a living workspace, a simulation. We pulled in everything we'd learned from lean startup, agile sprints, design thinking, and bootstrapping into a visual command center for our new stripped-down business one-on-one Zoom training. It worked fast. We pitched former clients and closed new business in days. But then something unexpected happened. A client looked at the map and said, "Forget the workouts. Can you build one of these for my company?" That was the light bulb moment. We rolled into that engagement, then another and another. And suddenly, we weren't just surviving. We were building something completely new. What we found: most founders don't have a shared mental model of their business. No one's ever shown them the whole picture. They're drowning in disconnected tools, lost in dashboards, and making decisions in isolation. But once we showed them the map, their systems, team, vision, bottlenecks, and opportunities in one place, everything changed. Strategy got simple, execution got fast, momentum compounded. Over the last 5 years, I've served as a fractional integrator and operator across dozens of businesses, using this exact system. Every time the pattern repeats, clarity creates momentum. Alignment enables scale. Maps show the terrain, the threats, and the route forward, where we're going. Now we're building Venture Map into a full stack platform. Part community, part methodology, part AI-powered infrastructure. We're actively refining how the system thinks, how humans interact with it, and how AI supports it, so founders can move from idea to execution in minutes, not months. This isn't just software. It's operational leverage, an integrated system for building self-optimizing enterprises. Companies that are self-aware, situationally aware, and strategically aligned. Human teams and agentic systems working together with discipline and direction. We're building for the founder who leads with vision, builds with precision, and stewards their business with wisdom. One map, one mission.
Cool. So that was pretty easy. Now, after this, I'm sure you know it, but what we'll do is just name this. I can't tell you how many times people have difficulty actually naming their looms. It helps a lot, especially if you end up producing a lot of looms. Story and then a date will help, especially if you're doing lots of iterations over time. Okay, grab the link and drop it in. Now, when I watch this, naturally, I start to think to myself, this could be better. This could be improved. That language here isn't perfect. I would change that. And other parts are like, yeah, not bad, not bad. It's areas I'm like, yeah, that's correct. And what I found is when you get to a place where it feels mostly correct, you're like pretty accurate across the board, then move on. That's the time that you need to move on. Otherwise, it can become this weird echo chamber of just nonstop, forever edit and forever like editing, and nobody has time for that. So I definitely recommend staying disciplined on that front. Like, how good is good enough? Now, just to be clear, this took me, altogether what you just saw, 10 minutes, if that, and I'm also recording a video and talking about it live. It can be done very expediently. And that's really important because these things at the end of the day are indirect contributors to revenue. And the fact that you've codified and captured your origin story is awesome. But, that's not making sales. And when a big priority for you, like you have to make sales in order to make rent, you need to be very mindful and disciplined with the constraints that you apply to organizational work, like infrastructure type of work. That's not to say it's not inherently valuable, but it does require a level of discipline and how much time you allow yourself to spend. So, okay, that's that, right? I worked out through some means leveraging ChatGPT a origin story, put it into a visual format that I'm decently proud of. I could sit down and read it to a bunch of colleagues, employees, clients, what have you. I've got the raw data backed up just in case I need to grab it. And I've got a briefing because, reading is something that not a lot of people do these days. So when I come back into this 3 months from now, what I'm going to do is just spend 3 minutes having it read to me. And I'll be like, okay, cool. And I'll probably get in and start reading through it here, take the data, throw it back into GPT and just start talking GPT and have it iterate live. So that is how that goes. It's kind of the process that you do across the entire board. Be able to take data from GPT, throw it into Miro in a space that makes sense, right? It's kind of compartmentalized within various sectors of a company. So the sector we're working in right now, culture, right? That's important. It's the most important thing to get right, in my view. As I say, culture eats strategy for breakfast. And with that, I say we just kind of press forward into vivid vision. Tell you what I'll do is I'll just spin off a follow-on video so this one doesn't become like multiple hours long. If you got any value from this, cool. You can, based on wherever you're watching this, you can join the free community And what I'm doing in the process of doing right now is making the entire methodology of building out a venture map easy to access, something that's relatively effortless and quick to do. The free community has a full self-implementation guide, so you can do all of this for free. That's really important. And additional levels of implementation support, we are actually producing collateral for you at the highest level. So wherever you're at in your journey, we're going to have some level to support you in that. If you're just new to using these tools and this methodology, I would recommend you just start off in the Venture Map free community, sort of wet your beak a little bit with training, with the templates, and jump on our weekly live Q&A. We can connect. We can even do a one-on-one onboarding call or sync up directly in school via direct messenger. And I'm happy to help get you spun up with all of this stuff directly. Hit the link in the description below to join the free community, and I look forward to seeing you guys in there. Thanks. Over and out.